Homelessness remains one of the most pressing and visible social issues in the United States, casting a shadow over even the wealthiest and most dynamic urban centers. In cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York City, known for their glittering skylines and booming economies, the stark contrast of those living without shelter is impossible to ignore. This crisis is not just about statistics, it's about real people, each with a story of resilience, loss, and survival. Women, in particular, face disproportionate challenges, from safety concerns to limited access to resources, making their plight even more urgent. What lies behind the rising numbers of homelessness, and why are so many being left behind amid the prosperity of these cities? In today's exploration, we delve into the often overlooked struggles of America's homeless population, using the lens of travel documentaries to shed light on lives that deserve to be seen and stories that demand to be told. Before we begin, we invite you to join us in amplifying awareness. Like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to our channel. Together, we can uncover the hidden truths of homelessness and advocate for meaningful change worldwide. Number 10. San Francisco. San Francisco currently ranks 10th among U.S. cities with the highest homelessness rates, with an estimated 7,082 individuals living without permanent housing as of September 2024. On the surface, San Francisco presents itself as a beacon of innovation, a thriving epicenter of the tech industry brimming with wealth and opportunity. Yet, beneath this glittering exterior lies a city grappling with a deep and persistent homelessness crisis. Women and minorities are disproportionately impacted, reflecting broader systemic inequities. One of the primary drivers of this crisis is the city's skyrocketing cost of living. The average monthly rent for a one-bedroom apartment now hovers around $3,750, a staggering amount that places stable housing far beyond reach for many. Low-wage workers, individuals juggling multiple part-time jobs, and vulnerable groups like single mothers and survivors of domestic violence are among the hardest hit. For these individuals, the dream of security often turns into a grim reality of unsafe shelters or complete displacement. Beyond financial obstacles, those experiencing homelessness in San Francisco endure profound social stigma and face significant hurdles in accessing essential services. Overcrowded shelters, limited healthcare access, and scarce mental health resources exacerbate the challenges. Even basic necessities like public restrooms and safe spaces are lacking, leaving many to navigate daily life in precarious and unsafe conditions. This crisis sheds light on a larger systemic failure. While the tech boom has transformed the city into a global powerhouse, it raises difficult questions about its impact on marginalized communities. Has the relentless pursuit of innovation widened the gap between the affluent and the vulnerable? How can San Francisco reconcile its economic growth with the pressing need to ensure equitable access to housing and other basic necessities? The stark contrast between its affluent neighborhoods and the growing number of homeless encampments paints a troubling picture of inequality. San Francisco's struggle is emblematic of a broader homelessness crisis across the United States, demanding urgent and systemic solutions to bridge the divide and create a more inclusive future. Number 9. Sacramento. Sacramento, the vibrant capital of California, faces a growing challenge as it ranks 9th among U.S. cities with the largest homeless populations. With approximately 9,281 individuals lacking permanent housing, the city grapples with a crisis that continues to escalate. Although Sacramento is often considered more affordable than metropolitan hubs like San Francisco or Los Angeles, it is not immune to the consequences of a severe housing shortage. This persistent lack of affordable housing has left countless residents struggling to secure stable living arrangements, highlighting a gap between the city's housing supply and its growing demand. Over the years, rental prices in Sacramento have climbed steadily, placing a heavy burden on low-income families and individuals. Women, particularly single mothers, are disproportionately affected by this crisis. They not only face the financial strain of rising rents, but also endure additional hardships such as limited access to safe shelters and heightened risks to their safety while living on the streets. In response to this pressing issue, Sacramento has taken steps to expand the availability of temporary shelters. However, these efforts have fallen short of addressing the scale of the problem. Night after night, hundreds of people remain on waiting lists, desperately seeking a safe place to sleep. As the city continues to grapple with these challenges, the question remains: how can Sacramento implement sustainable solutions to ensure its most vulnerable residents are not left behind? Number 8. Phoenix. Phoenix, the fifth largest city in the United States, ranks 8th nationwide for its homelessness crisis, with an estimated 9,642 individuals experiencing homelessness as of late 2024. Despite its reputation as a rapidly growing metropolitan hub, Phoenix faces a troubling paradox. While its economic expansion attracts new residents and businesses, it has also deepened inequalities. The city's severe housing shortage and skyrocketing property values have made securing stable housing increasingly difficult. Today, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment hovers around $1,650 per month, a figure far out of reach for families subsisting on low wages or fixed incomes. Compounding this crisis is the city's ongoing battle with opioid addiction, which has claimed over 2,000 lives in recent years. This public health emergency adds another layer of complexity to the homelessness issue, as many individuals caught in the cycle of addiction face significant obstacles to achieving stable housing and long-term recovery. Without adequate support systems, the intersection of homelessness and substance abuse remains a persistent challenge for city officials and local organizations. Adding to these struggles, Phoenix's unforgiving climate creates a harsh reality for those living on the streets. During summer, temperatures often soar above 110 degrees, leading to dehydration, heat exhaustion, and other life-threatening conditions. For those without access to cooling centers or proper medical care, the summer months can be particularly deadly. The harsh environment underscores the urgency of addressing the homelessness crisis comprehensively. Women, especially, face unique vulnerabilities in Phoenix. Many flee abusive or unsafe environments only to encounter limited resources and a heightened risk of exploitation on the streets. For these women, finding a safe place to sleep is a daily struggle, as shelters and support services remain overwhelmed by demand. Despite the city's ongoing efforts to expand affordable housing and assistance programs, the current shortage of over 20,000 affordable units leaves many without viable options. As Phoenix continues to grow, its challenges also multiply. How can a city renowned for opportunity and expansion address the stark inequalities that leave so many without a place to call home? Number 7. Oakland. Ranked 7th among U.S. cities grappling with homelessness, Oakland is confronting an urgent crisis, with an estimated 9,759 individuals living without permanent shelter as of September 2024. As one of California's most diverse and dynamic cities, Oakland's housing market has been caught in a cycle of rapidly increasing prices, leaving many struggling to find affordable housing. The median home price has surged past $800,000, and rent for a one-bedroom apartment averages around $2,400 per month. For working-class families, these soaring costs are no longer just a burden. They are insurmountable barriers to stable living conditions. Oakland's housing affordability crisis has exacerbated the stark divide between its wealthier and lower-income neighborhoods. In areas like the upscale Oakland Hills, pristine streets lined with beautiful homes stand in sharp contrast to the east, where sprawling homeless encampments have become an all-too-visible symptom of the growing inequality within the city. The vivid disparity between well-maintained properties and the harsh conditions faced by those without shelter underscores the deepening social and economic chasm that threatens to widen further if decisive action isn't taken. In a city that prides itself on diversity and inclusivity, these divisions stand as a powerful reminder of the challenges Oakland faces in ensuring its prosperity benefits all residents, not just the privileged few. How can Oakland reconcile its rapid growth and economic success with the pressing needs of its most vulnerable populations? Number 6. San Jose. Nestled in the heart of Silicon Valley, San Jose ranks 6th among U.S. cities facing the highest rates of homelessness, with approximately 9,903 people experiencing homelessness as of September 2024. Known worldwide as the epicenter of technological innovation, San Jose is home to some of the wealthiest tech companies and executives. Yet, beneath this facade of prosperity, a homelessness crisis is rapidly intensifying, highlighting the stark contrast between the city's immense wealth and its growing social inequality. With a median home price of around $1.3 million, San Jose is one of the most expensive cities in the United States, making it virtually impossible for many residents to find affordable housing. Even families earning a decent income are being priced out, unable to keep up with the soaring housing costs. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment has now reached $3,000 per month, which is a figure far beyond the reach of essential workers such as teachers, service employees, and public sector staff, individuals who play crucial roles in the city's day-to-day functioning. As a result, many are being forced to leave the very city where they work, further deepening the divide between the tech elite and the broader population. This growing disparity raises an urgent question. How can a city that thrives on innovation and wealth reconcile its prosperity with the needs of its most vulnerable citizens? Number 5. Denver. Denver ranks 5th among U.S. cities grappling with homelessness, with an estimated 10,054 individuals living without stable shelter as of September 2024. The city's growing homelessness crisis is largely driven by the skyrocketing cost of housing, which has left many residents struggling to stay afloat. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Denver now hovers around $2,200 per month, and with the median home price surpassing $570,000, homeownership has become an unattainable dream for countless families. Entire households find themselves pushed to the brink, unable to secure basic housing, while the number of visible homeless encampments continues to rise across the city. Among those most affected are women, particularly single mothers, who face a unique set of challenges when forced to live without stable housing. These women are at a heightened risk of violence, and without a safe place to live, securing consistent employment or taking care of their children becomes an uphill battle. The ongoing struggle to find shelter leaves them vulnerable in ways that many cannot comprehend. Despite Denver's substantial investments in affordable housing initiatives, the gap between supply and demand remains staggering. The city currently needs an additional 70,000 affordable housing units just to meet the existing demand, leaving many without a viable option for shelter. In response to the growing crisis, Denver has also focused on expanding mental health and addiction services, acknowledging that many individuals facing homelessness also contend with underlying health issues that require professional intervention. However, these services are often stretched to their limits, with long waiting lists and limited accessibility, leaving many people without the help they desperately need. For Denver to tackle its homelessness crisis effectively, a more comprehensive and strategic approach is essential, one that not only increases housing availability, but also integrates robust health and social support systems for individuals experiencing homelessness. Without this, the crisis will continue to worsen, and many will remain without the help they need to rebuild their lives. Number 4. San Diego. San Diego ranks 4th among U.S. cities with the largest homeless populations, with an estimated 10,264 individuals living without permanent shelter as of September 2024. A key factor driving this crisis is the city's astronomical living costs, which have made housing increasingly unattainable for many residents. The median home price in San Diego has soared to around $900,000, while the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment now exceeds $2,500 per month. For families and low-income individuals, these costs are simply beyond reach, leaving many with nowhere to turn. In response, the city has often resorted to controversial measures like sweeps to displace homeless encampments. However, these actions fail to address the root causes of homelessness and do little to help those who are affected. Women and families, in particular, face the harshest realities of this approach, often finding themselves living in temporary shelters or, in some cases, sleeping in their cars in search of safety and stability. These temporary solutions offer little more than a fleeting sense of security and do not resolve the long-term challenges they face. Compounding the crisis is the severe shortage of both affordable housing and essential social services. Many individuals struggling with homelessness also face underlying issues such as mental health challenges or substance abuse, but the city's social services are not equipped to meet these needs. While San Diego has made attempts to address the issue by investing in affordable housing projects, there is still a shortfall of at least 15,000 affordable units, leaving many without options. For the city to make real progress in combating homelessness, more permanent solutions are necessary, including the expansion of mental health services, addiction support, and the creation of additional low-income housing. Without a comprehensive and sustainable plan, the crisis in San Diego is only set to worsen. Number 3. Seattle. Ranked third in the nation for its homeless population, Seattle is home to approximately 14,444 individuals experiencing homelessness as of September 2024. Despite being a thriving economic hub, largely driven by tech giants like Amazon and Microsoft, the city faces a paradox where its prosperity has led to an ever-widening housing affordability gap. Seattle's tech-driven economy has undoubtedly fueled growth, but it has also pushed housing prices to levels that are simply out of reach for many residents. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the city has surged to $2,600 per month, while the median home price has skyrocketed to $875,000. These soaring costs have made it increasingly difficult, even for full-time workers, to find stable housing. In response to the growing crisis, Seattle has implemented measures such as sweeping homeless encampments in an attempt to clear public spaces. However, these actions have proven to be largely ineffective, as they merely displace individuals without offering any long-term solutions or addressing the root causes of homelessness. Rather than providing the necessary support systems, such as affordable housing, mental health services, or addiction treatment, these efforts serve only to push the problem out of sight while leaving its underlying issues unresolved. To truly make progress, Seattle must develop a more compassionate and sustainable approach that addresses both the immediate needs and the systemic challenges contributing to homelessness. Number 2. Los Angeles. Los Angeles ranks second in the nation for homelessness, with approximately 71,312 individuals experiencing homelessness as of September 2024. The crisis is most visibly concentrated in areas like Skid Row, which has tragically become ground zero for thousands of individuals without stable shelter. Despite being a global cultural and economic powerhouse, Los Angeles grapples with one of the most severe homelessness situations in the country. The soaring cost of living exacerbates the problem, with the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment now standing at $2,800 per month, while the median home price has reached $900,000. For many working-class residents, even those with full-time jobs, these prices are simply unattainable. In addition to skyrocketing housing costs, crime and safety issues are critical factors that impact the homeless population. Many individuals are forced to live in dangerous environments where violence and exploitation are constant threats. Despite Los Angeles investing billions of dollars into initiatives aimed at reducing homelessness, the city still faces a staggering shortfall of over 500,000 affordable housing units. Women, in particular, are especially vulnerable, facing heightened risks of violence and exploitation without the protection of a permanent home. This crisis is a reflection of broader systemic issues, including the escalating cost of living and the inadequacy of the city's social support systems. Los Angeles's approach to addressing homelessness has yet to bridge the gap between the immense demand for affordable housing and the resources available. A more comprehensive and strategic approach is needed, one that not only increases housing availability, but also addresses the social and economic factors that fuel the crisis, ensuring that all residents have the opportunity to live with dignity and security. Number 1. New York City. New York City, often recognized globally for its immense wealth and status as a financial powerhouse, holds the unfortunate title of having the largest homeless population in the United States. As of September 2024, more than 88,000 individuals are living without permanent housing in the city. This staggering number paints a stark contrast to the city's reputation as a thriving global hub of commerce, culture, and luxury. While the city boasts some of the most expensive real estate in the world, the overwhelming number of people who struggle to find even the most basic shelter highlights the growing crisis of homelessness. The housing affordability crisis in New York City is one of the primary drivers of homelessness. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the city has soared to an eye-watering $4,000 per month, while the median home price has surpassed $1 million. These exorbitant prices have made housing unaffordable for many New Yorkers, particularly for low and middle-income individuals and families. Even full-time workers, many of whom work in essential sectors such as healthcare, education, and service industries, find themselves struggling to afford a roof over their heads. The issue has been exacerbated by a recent surge of nearly 100,000 migrants, who have added significant pressure to the city's already stretched shelter system. With shelters operating well beyond their capacity, thousands of people are forced to sleep on the streets, in subway stations, or in makeshift camps throughout the city. This dire situation paints a vivid picture of the disparity between New York's wealth and the harsh reality faced by many of its residents. Homelessness in the United States is a multifaceted and deeply rooted issue that extends far beyond just a lack of affordable housing. Economic instability, soaring housing costs, unemployment, and other socioeconomic factors all contribute to the crisis. In many cities, including New York, wages have failed to keep pace with the rising cost of living, leaving many people vulnerable to eviction and, ultimately, homelessness. As rent prices climb to unprecedented levels, families are finding it harder than ever to make ends meet, with the most marginalized groups being hit the hardest. Immigrant families, people of color, and those with disabilities are disproportionately affected by this crisis, struggling not only to secure affordable housing, but also to access the resources and support they need to regain stability. One of the key contributing factors to homelessness that often goes overlooked is the intersection between homelessness and mental health or substance abuse disorders. A significant number of individuals experiencing homelessness are grappling with untreated mental health issues or addiction problems, which can create barriers to accessing housing and maintaining stable employment. Unfortunately, many of these individuals face systemic challenges when it comes to accessing mental health services, addiction treatment, or other forms of support. As a result, their ability to secure and sustain stable housing becomes even more complicated, perpetuating the cycle of homelessness. Despite the growing crisis, the U.S. government has attempted to address homelessness through various programs and initiatives. One of the most notable of these is the Housing First approach, which prioritizes providing stable housing to individuals without requiring them to meet preconditions such as sobriety or employment. This approach has shown promising results in reducing chronic homelessness, as it focuses on offering shelter first and then addressing other underlying issues, such as mental health or substance abuse. The Housing First model has been adopted in several cities across the U.S., with varying degrees of success, and it offers a hopeful solution for those experiencing homelessness. However, it is important to note that Housing First is not a one-size-fits-all solution, and it must be accompanied by additional services such as mental health care, addiction treatment, and job training to address the root causes of homelessness. In addition to Housing First, there are other government programs aimed at alleviating homelessness, including Section 8 housing vouchers, which provide low-income families with financial assistance to secure rental housing. However, the demand for these resources far outweighs the availability, leading to long waiting lists and leaving many people without the support they need. This gap between supply and demand for affordable housing is one of the central challenges in tackling homelessness in the U.S., and is particularly evident in New York City, where the shortage of affordable housing units continues to grow. The need for more affordable housing is urgent. Expanding the availability of affordable housing through incentives for developers, zoning reforms, and public-private partnerships can help to address the housing crisis. In cities like New York, where the demand for affordable housing is far greater than the supply, increasing investment in the construction of low-income housing units is crucial. This can help alleviate the pressure on the housing market and provide people with the stability they need to rebuild their lives. Along with housing, mental health and addiction treatment services must also be prioritized. Investing in these services will help those at risk of homelessness or already experiencing homelessness to address the underlying issues that often contribute to their plight. Furthermore, employment initiatives aimed at job training, placement, and providing living wage jobs can play a vital role in breaking the cycle of poverty and homelessness. By equipping individuals with the skills and opportunities they need to secure stable employment, these programs can help people transition out of homelessness and toward financial independence. Additionally, creating more opportunities for affordable childcare, transportation, and healthcare will ensure that people have the necessary support systems in place to maintain their housing and improve their overall quality of life. Collaboration between federal, state, and local governments, as well as partnerships with nonprofit organizations and community groups, is essential in addressing homelessness effectively. A coordinated and comprehensive approach that integrates housing, healthcare, and social services is the most effective way to provide individuals with the stability and support they need. Only by addressing the root causes of homelessness and providing a safety net for vulnerable populations can the United States begin to make meaningful progress towards solving this complex and persistent issue. As we conclude this exploration of homelessness, it's important to remember that the statistics we discussed represent real people: mothers, fathers, children, veterans, and the elderly, many of whom are women, who deserve safety, dignity, and the opportunity to rebuild their lives. These individuals are not just numbers. They are members of our communities who have fallen through the cracks of a broken system. If this video has resonated with you, we encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more documentaries that shed light on critical issues from around the world. Let's come together, raise awareness, and work toward creating lasting change for those who need it most.